And welcome once again to another edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Happy Wednesday. I'm excited about this show. Every Monday night and Wednesday night at 5 o'clock on my Facebook page and YouTube channel, you get new episodes. I got a very special guest. GPB sports anchor Matt Stewart is going to be on the show in just a bit. But we got a lot to get into. We got Little League Baseball tomorrow. A team from Columbus and a team from Phoenix City is going to be in this Southeast Regional Tournament in Warner Robins. Matt Stewart is going to be on to preview that bracket and to talk a little bit about high school football. It is just around the corner. We have a couple more weeks until we start the regular season games in high school football. And like I do every Wednesday, I'm going to talk about some of the top skilled position players in the state of Alabama. On Monday, I talked about the skilled position players in Georgia. I'm going to talk about them in Alabama. We've got some new polls out, courtesy of Powerhouse Sports. And surprisingly, that Glenwood is not in the poll for preseason private 2A. And so that's very interesting. Miguel Tulin is actually number one in 6A. Remember, they did away with 7A in Alabama. It's Thompson 1, Central 2. They're on a collision course on Thursday, August the 20th. For a massive regular season game at Garrett Harrison Stadium. This is a great show. I have fun doing it. Going to talk about the coaches poll. How similar is the coaches poll to the poll that I released on Monday? I was trying to guess who would be the top 10 teams in college football. I think I did pretty good. I got part of it right. I got 8 out of the 10 teams right and not in any particular order. And then this will be my last division that I preview, as tomorrow is the first NFL preseason game, the Hall of Fame game between the Cardinals and the Panthers. I'm going to be previewing the AFC East. We have the Super Bowl representative. Can they get back to the Super Bowl? I'm talking about the Patriots, of course. All right, let's not waste any time. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty, and let's talk some college football. And I love college football, and you're talking about a guy who is a transplant fan that came from California. But I moved to Georgia in 2006. I got on board. I actually started rooting for the Vols when I went to Freed-Hardeman back in 1999. They were fresh off a national championship in 98. But we do have a coaches poll that just came out. No surprise, and this is what I got, number one. Ohio State is the number one team in the coaches poll. They received 38 first-place votes, followed by Oregon. I actually had Georgia 2 in my poll. Oregon with probably one of the top quarterbacks that could be coming out in the 2027 NFL Draft, Dante Moore. Oregon had some momentum. They did lose in the semifinals to Indiana, but they had a lot of expectations and high hopes, especially getting that victory over Texas Tech in the college football playoff. I expect Oregon and what Dan Lanning is bringing to the table to compete. So the two top teams in this coaches poll are from the Big Ten. Boy, say that 10 times fast. Followed by Georgia. Georgia at number 3. They're projected to win the SEC, followed by Texas, who spends a lot of money on NIL funds. And you talk about return on investment. Arch Manning, a lot of expectations this year. Texas opens the season against Texas State. Week 2, they'll be facing Ohio State. And then we got Notre Dame. Notre Dame on a little bit of a revenge tour. They are at number 5. They felt like they should have went to the college football playoff last year, but they didn't. Indiana, the defending national champions, they're at number 6. Number 7, Miami. They got to the national championship game with Carson Beck. Now they got the Duke transfer Darren Menza, who's another top prospect when it comes to quarterbacks for the class of 2027 in the NFL draft. Here's 2 teams that I got wrong. Texas A&M, Marcel Reed coming back, and then Ole Miss. Ole Miss is at number 10 with Trinidad Chambliss. I had Alabama and LSU in my top 10. Alabama's outside of the top 10 for the first time since 2008. Wow, it's hard to believe. They got LSU all the way down to 13. Are you buying Lane Kiffin, rebuilding LSU to a national championship contender in year one? Some people think it's going to take time with Lane Kiffin. He's got a new quarterback, the Arizona State transfer, Sam Leavitt. That's not too shabby, but that is the list. Oklahoma at number 9. So we got Miami at 7, Texas A&M at 8, Oklahoma number 9, and Ole Miss at 10. That's the top 10. Just outside of the top 10, Alabama, Texas Tech, LSU, USC, BYU, Michigan, Penn State, Tennessee, Washington, SMU comes in at number 20, Utah at 21, Iowa 22, Clemson 23, Houston at 24, and Missouri at 25. That is a pretty good list. We expect the AP poll to come out, and of course the JP poll, and that's I just have a lot of fun with that because I do watch Josh Pate's college football show, and he has what's called the JP poll. So when it comes to college football, I listen to the experts. They know what they are talking about. Whether it's Kirk Herbstreit, whether it's Josh Pate, whether it's Cole Kublik, the college football experts, Reese Davis, I mean, the list goes on. They know what they're talking about. I'm just a fan. And when I come out with a top 10 list, I understand that it is my top 10 and it is very subjective. There could be some people that could be arguing with me, well, why didn't you put this team in the top 10? That's why I have it out there. And this is why I do what I do, because I love giving hot sports takes. Let's switch gears. Let's go to Major League Baseball. Because right now, the Tarek Skubal trade for the Dodgers is not really working out for him. It's early. Not time to panic. 5 straight losses for the Dodgers. Tarek Skubal, he did give up 2 runs, only had 6 strikeouts, but they lost because of the bullpen. You spend all this money on starting pitching, and yes, you do have a pretty good closer in Edwin Diaz when healthy, but what about the bullpen? Could this be an Achilles heel for the Dodgers in the postseason? It's not a lock or a foregone conclusion that the Dodgers are going to three-peat. So I want to keep an eye and see how the Dodgers handle this. Right now, they are still miles away from the Arizona Diamondbacks. They got a 9-game lead on the Diamondbacks. The Brewers actually have the best record in all of baseball. And the Braves, not too far behind. They got the win over the Miami Marlins. And right now, they have a 7.5-game lead over the Philadelphia Phillies, who got the 3-time batting champ from the Giants at the trade deadline, Luis Araujo. So another bat to help that powerful Philadelphia Phillies lineup. You know the Phillies are going to be there, possibly as a wild card team. The Cubs look good. They're only 5.5 back from the Milwaukee Brewers. Pete Crow Armstrong is an MVP candidate. And they also have that pitcher Stroman from the Gosman from the Toronto Blue Jays. Man, I'm trying to remember exactly who that pitcher was. Over in the American League, you got the Tampa Bay Rays, the Yankees, and the Red Sox. They look like the top 3 teams in the American League could all make the playoffs. Toronto, a little bit of a sophomore slump from getting to the World Series last year. It looked like they were sellers at the trade deadline, getting rid of their talented pitcher in Gosman. The Chicago White Sox really have been the story of Major League Baseball. The turnaround has been absolutely fascinating. I think Will Venable is going to be Manager of the Year. No question about it. I'm really high on Will Venable. I think that, Murakami, and then you got Colson Montgomery, Miguel Vargas. I've never even heard of these guys. I'm looking at the White Sox roster. Got a lot of prospects that I'm just now getting familiar with. That is a nice story. It's a dogfight in the AL West with Houston, Texas, Seattle. They're all going to be trying to get into the postseason. I'm pulling for the Seattle Mariners. I wanted to see them get to the World Series last year. They're the only Major League Baseball team that has never reached the World Series. I'm stunned by that. I'm thinking of all the teams that made the World Series, including the Rockies, the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks won a World Series. The Texas Rangers won a World Series. I'm shocked that the Mariners are the only team that has yet to get to the World Series. All right, it is Wednesday. It is this is the time where I actually talk about the AHSAA, Alabama High School Football. It's not a knock on the AISA. I mean, Chambers Academy's won 3 straight AISA championships. I'll give them their flowers. I'll talk about Chambers Academy, and I'll include the AISA as well. But, there's going to be some big things happening at the AHSAA. Like, for instance, they don't have 7A anymore. They have 6A, and they have 8 classifications. They have Class 1A private and Class 2A private. Glenwood is actually in Class 2A private. You got Central, Smith Station, Auburn, Opelika. They're all in 6A. Russell County is in 5A. And let's see, am I forgetting anybody? No, that's about it. But I actually wanted to go over the top 10 skilled position players in the state of Alabama. And this is according to Rivals.com. This is only juniors and seniors. But oddly enough, the top two players in Alabama are juniors. We're going to start with the junior tight end from Wetumpka, Caleb Ballard. Colleges really want that possession receiver type tight end, and I think that Alabama's got one of the best, Caleb Ballard. And then we've got the junior quarterback from Benjamin Russell, Kingston Preyer. Kingston Preyer. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize, Kingston, if you're watching. And then we have the number 1 senior, the son of Phillip Rivers, who plays at St. Michael's Catholic, who's going to be in the Chattahoochee Valley when they face Glenwood. Gunnar Rivers. If he's anything like his dad, which he's committed to NC State, his dad played at NC State, I think Gunnar Rivers is going to be a great prospect and a great college quarterback. Deshaun Hall, the wide receiver from Prattville, is the 4th top prospect in the state of Alabama. Coming in at number 5 is the running back from Jasper, Zion Koger. And we got at number 6, we got Darian Mosley, the wide receiver from Thompson, followed by, at 7, his quarterback, Trent Siebert, he's the Alabama commit. It's like he's been playing at Thompson forever. He won a state title when he was an 8th grader. Coming in at number 8, we got another tight end from Pleasant Valley. We got Braxton Salster. At number 9, we got the wide receiver from Southside Selma. We got Cedric Simmons. Got another wide receiver at number 9, Carter Davis. Come on now. And then we got another wide receiver. Man, we got another wide receiver from Thompson. 3 players on this top 10 list, all from Thompson. DeAndre Kimbrough, and that rounds out the top 10. You don't think Thompson is hungry to try to win another state title? They have won 6 out of the last 7 years, trying to go for 7 out of the last 8 years. They have been the most dominating school in the state of Alabama, and it's not even close. But Central going to try to give a run for their money. Central feels that even though they were down big in that semifinal game against Thompson, had a chance to win it on a 2-point conversion, but failed on the 2-point conversion. They get the rematch on August 20th. I cannot wait for that. All right, before we get Matt Stewart on, I do have one more segment that I do want to talk about. We got NFL training camp going on. We have the first preseason game. Congratulations to the 2026 Hall of Fame class. You got Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Roger Craig. Such an incredible class. We got the Hall of Fame game in Canton. This is a great time just to get football fans back in front of the TV, as we got the Cardinals and the Panthers. I highly doubt the ones are going to play in this game, but it's just great to have football back, and it will be tomorrow. Don't forget, Friday, a special audio-only version of the podcast. Check it out. But like I do, this will be the final time that I preview a division. I'm previewing the AFC East. Now, this division was won by the New England Patriots. Had a pretty easy schedule. They had a lot of breaks. They went 14-3. Drake May started looking like he could be a top 5 quarterback. He had an incredible year. And really, the Patriots did it with smoking mirrors. I'm not hating on the Patriots. Drake May did a great job, but he did get a lot of breaks. Bo Nix was hurt in that AFC Championship. They took on a Texans team that didn't really have C.J. Stroud, just really wasn't playing his best. But they have, Mike Vrabel, Coach of the Year, did an awesome job. I don't care about the distractions with Diana Rossini. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the New England Patriots facing a tougher schedule. They're now facing a first-place schedule. Can they duplicate this and get back to the Super Bowl? I am actually predicting that the Patriots are going to drop off slightly because I think that Buffalo is the best team in the AFC East. It's not a knock on the Patriots. Josh McDaniel, he's been doing it for a very long time. He's the reason why he's one of the best offensive coordinators in the game. And they do have some pretty good additions on offense with Romeo Doubs coming over from Green Bay. And then the A.J. Brown trade. The Patriots now have weapons. Now, they got a crowded backfield. DeMondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson are going to be the two running backs. The Patriot way is still there in Foxborough with Mike Vrabel, and I just don't think that they are dropped off like you think they would. They got to the Super Bowl. I know it's gut-wrenching, especially if you're a Falcons fan, but I just don't know if they can get back to the Super Bowl again. I think that this is going to be a sophomore slump for the Patriots. Here's a team that I think the pressure is on for them to get to the Super Bowl, and that's the Buffalo Bills. Now, they fired Sean McDermott. I did not agree with that move. Thought he was a great coach. But now Joe Brady, who is an offensive whiz kid, remember he was responsible for that 2019 LSU National Championship team that was putting up 60 points a game. Oh, no, not 60. Joe Burrow threw 60 touchdowns. Yeah, I got those stats wrong. Yeah, I'm a stats guy. Sometimes I make mistakes. But Joe Brady's now the new head coach in Buffalo. Josh Allen's got some weapons like DJ Moore. Bradley Chubb joins the defense with local kid, Phoenix City native TJ Parker, who's, he's a second-round pick. He's expected to get some playing time. I mean, they've got Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau. They got some pretty good pieces on defense, but it's really Josh Allen. A lot of pressure for Josh Allen to get to a Super Bowl. I felt like the opportunity to get to the Super Bowl was last year with Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson not making the playoffs and injured. This was the opportunity last year, and they had a chance against the Denver Broncos, and they just could not capitalize. There was like a controversial catch or no catch thing that happened, and they ended up losing to the Denver Broncos in overtime. To make matters worse, Bo Nix got hurt, and the Broncos had Jared Stidham going up against Drake May. I feel if Josh Allen was going up against Drake May, it doesn't matter where that game is played, whether it's in Buffalo or Foxborough. I think the Buffalo Bills would be going to the Super Bowl, and they might have gave the Seahawks a game. But this year, with Josh Allen has a new head coach, he's familiar with Joe Brady. There is that familiarity, but do they lose some of that fire on defense? Do they lose some of that passion? Because Greg McDermott was a defensive-minded coach. I still think the Buffalo Bills are the favorites to get out of the AFC. I mean, we don't know how good Kansas City is going to be. I mean, I think they'll be good, but everybody else, Joe Burrow's coming back. The Chargers are going to be better. Aaron Rodgers last year with Pittsburgh, how are they going to fare? It's wide open in the AFC. So as a Buffalo Bills member, you have got to take advantage of this. And I think that Josh Allen is going to. The one thing about this division, very top-heavy. I'll be honest with you guys. We got two really bad teams in this division. The Miami Dolphins, first-year coach Jeff Hadley. They went 7-10 last year, but you remember how bad they looked. And that's why in the beginning of the season when they were getting blown out, that's why I felt like Mike McDaniel was cooked. But Tua's not here anymore. In comes Malik Willis. Jeff Hafley, very familiar with Malik, being in Green Bay. They've got Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell. They've got some wide receivers. No Tyreek Hill. He's not on the Dolphins anymore. Jalen Waddle's now on the Broncos, so it's a different wide receiver core. I like Devon Achane. Pretty good top 10 running back, but I think the Dolphins are going to struggle. I honestly think the Dolphins are going to struggle this year. And they could be in the sweepstakes for Arch Manning, Dante Moore, Darian Menza. The quarterbacks that are coming in the 2027 draft class, there's going to be a lot of good ones. I think the Dolphins are going to struggle this year. And then the Jets. Oh, boy. If you talk about a coach that is on the hot seat, it is Aaron Glenn. 3-14 last year. They have no identity. Now, I'm not a fan of retreads unless it's Deebo Samuel going to my team. But Geno Smith going back to the Jets, I don't know if this is going to work out. The Jets just had a fireside sale where they just cleaned house, getting rid of all their big-time players. And they also got rid of Elijah Vera Tucker. They've gotten rid of Sauce Gardner. They got rid of Quentin Williams. They still have Breece Hall as a running back. They still have Garrett Wilson. You know, they ended up picking another tight end in the first round of the draft, second round of the draft or something. But the New York Jets, they're going to be bad this year. And I don't know if Aaron Glenn is going to last. He just did not prove that he was a good head coach last year. I actually thought he was going to get let go last year because it was an absolute disaster for the New York Jets last year. And I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. And that's just my opinion. But yeah, previewing the AFC East, the final division that I have previewed here on the show. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? And when we come back, Matt Stewart from GPB Sports and ESPN Plus is coming on the show to talk a Little League World Series baseball and the start of high school football. You don't want to go anywhere. It's a Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Back after this. And welcome back here to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. I am excited about my next guest. He has been all over the place. He's been a local legend when it comes to play-by-play for many years on ESPN, on GPB Sports. I am so excited to welcome Matt Stewart to the Sports Beat. Matt, how you doing?
Doing great. I appreciate the kind words. I'd probably step back a little bit on the legendary stuff, but
you're definitely. I want to look up to you as far as your play-by-play skills, which started at a very early age. I know that's something you always wanted to do. Talk about where that love came from. We're talking big-time game like Georgia College World Series back in 1990, and doing what you do now for ESPN and also for GPB.
Yeah, no, I mean, it started with, just a love of sports, a passion for sports. And if I wasn't doing this, if I hadn't been blessed to be doing this, I'd be trying to do something in sports. It's just been my passion since I was a kid. So I followed that passion, and the Lord was very gracious to bless me with the opportunities that He has. But it's really more of a sports passion than it is a TV or radio passion.
Well, Matt, I really enjoy following you as a play-by-play announcer. You sound absolutely incredible. I wanted to bring you on the show. I know we're just around the corner from high school football, but you are the voice of Southeast Regional Tournament play, the Road to Williamsport down in Warner Robins, as we've got 8 fantastic teams from the Southeast region. And we have investing interest here in Columbus because we got a team from Phoenix City and a team from Columbus in this thing. And how excited are you? I know you're making preparations to head down to Warner Robins. And which games are you going to be on the call for?
I'll be on the call for 4 of the first 6 games. Jack DeLonchamps will be doing the games with me. Clay Matvick and Greg Olson, the former Auburn star, will be doing the rest of the games. So, so the first 2 days, I'm doing the first 2 games on Thursday, the first 2 games on Friday. Those will be the games that I'm doing. So you're right, though. Columbus Americans back in it for the first time since 2002. Phoenix City's back in it for the second consecutive year. And, of course, just a tremendous history of Little League baseball coming out of Columbus and area, including Harris County and Phoenix City. I think we're talking about 19 total, champions that have come out of that Columbus area, including Phoenix City over the years.
Yeah, no question about it. And it's proven that the Chattahoochee Valley is definitely a baseball town. The Phoenix City Little League team won it in 1999, the U.S. championship with the Colby and Corey Rasmus brothers. And then I remember that Northern Little League team that won it 20 years ago. And so we're very familiar with Northern. Harris County had a big run in 2022 and 2023. I remember listening to you on the call for that. Last year, it was really Phoenix City beating West Virginia in that first game. And Kenley Rasmus was really a national story. What she was able to do was to, dominate on the mound. And then, Phoenix City, they did lose the next two games, but, going up against a tough bracket, South Carolina ended up winning it last year. We've seen Lake Mary from Florida win the Little League World Series in 2024. That team from Nolensville representing Tennessee is always tough. What makes the Southeast region so exciting, especially when you get to call these incredible matchups?
Well, I think it's kind of reflective of just baseball in general. I mean, you look at the Southeastern Conference and how it dominates college baseball, and even beyond the Southeastern Conference when you include the ACC as well, but in particular the SEC. And I think that's reflective in the Little League programs as well. You saw West Virginia get to the College World Series for the first time ever this past season in college baseball, and West Virginia is part of this regional, and Shady Springs going to be representing West Virginia. They're a first-time champion, but I think it really just goes back to, baseball is important in the Southeast. The climate in the Southeast lends itself to 12 months a year baseball for a lot of these teams, especially in the state of Florida. And I know in Georgia, South Carolina, and the other states surrounding, you've got fall baseball. In fact, if you go on the websites of these little leagues that are participating in the Southeast Regional, they've already got their signups up there. People register for fall baseball. So it's an option. And so I think all those things contribute.
Well, Matt, I got the bracket in front of me. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to be on Thursday at Warner Robins, Southeast Park, starting at 10 o'clock, the defending champion, South Carolina, taking on West Virginia. And then at 1 o'clock, we got that team from American Little League taking on Florida, Virginia taking on Tennessee at 4, and then Alabama is taking on North Carolina, that team from Phoenix City Little League. So it's going to be a great day. That day one is going to be fantastic. Day 2 is going to have some elimination games and also the winner's bracket. But what are you looking forward to the next couple of days for the Southeast region tournament?
Well, it's really hard. People ask me, who do you think is going to win? Because every year it changes because the teams, even though they're representative, Irmo's coming back. They won it last year. Lake Norman's coming back. They were in this tournament a year ago. Phoenix City's coming back. They were, as you already pointed out, they were in this tournament a little bit ago. Cheris Capitola out of Tallahassee eliminated Lake Mary out of Florida in the state championship game in the Sunshine State and denied them a chance to be a fourth consecutive state champion and be in the regional for a fourth consecutive year. And then Nolensville. But the point I'm making is, even though these little leagues return and they're quote unquote repeat, the teams aren't really repeat. Mostly the teams are brand new. The exception there is Alabama, Phoenix City. They're bringing back 8 players from last year's team. And, the Rasmus family has really, revitalized that program. First few years I started doing this. The first year I did the baseball Southeast Regional in Warner Robins was 2021, and Alabama simply was not competitive, but they have changed. They've turned things around with the Rasmuses getting back involved with Little League there. Of course, the Rasmus name, you already mentioned the success of the 1999 team. Case is the manager of the team. He did not play on that 1999 team. He was the younger brother. Their dad, Tony, was the coach of that team. And so the sons have now kind of picked up that mantle, and picked it up from their father. And now they're cutting their own path. Corey was a member of that 1999 team, and Colby was the real star of that team. Not to take anything away from Corey, but Colby went on to play 10 years in Major League Baseball. And I believe he's in the Nolensville area, actually, actually coaching really younger, bringing coaching his sons in Nolensville. I think T-ball or somewhere, maybe a little bit above T-ball at this point. But in particular, Case and Corey are, Case is the manager, Corey is the coach. And then you mentioned Kinley, who's kind of the star of the team, the young lady who's the star of the team, star pitcher, and got a power bat. And her cousin Riker Rasmus is on the team as well. So, yeah, the Rasmus family has brought it back there at Phoenix City.
Matt, when you enter a tournament where you're doing play-by-play for Little League, how much preparation do you go into? Do you start when they select the All-Stars and they're playing in the districts, or how farther back do you go to try to do research, getting prepared for the Southeast region?
Well, I do as much as I possibly can. Of course, as you know, preparing for Little League is a little bit different from everything else. There's no game notes. You got no sports information director like you do in college. You got no PR director like you do in the pros handing you information. You got to go digging for it yourself. So it makes it a little bit of a challenge. To specifically answer your question, I kind of wait until, I follow the state tournaments to see who's doing well. I don't really start preparing for the teams until I know who's winning that state championship. Otherwise, that's kind of a waste of time because you got to wait and see who's going to win that championship.
Right.
You start preparing for it. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Matt. I love listening to you and watching you on ESPN Plus. Your storytelling is fascinating. It's like you're embedded with these teams. You know about the area. You've had like stories because in 2022 and 2023 when Harris County was making that run. I mean, you knew all about like exactly where they were in that area. I think it's absolutely incredible. And I know, we're from Georgia, so, we know more information about the Georgia and Alabama teams, but you're able to tell the story, paint the picture. And I love the fact that you're sharing stuff from social media from like 5 years ago. I saw that you posted that incredible come from behind victory by Northern in 2021 over Nolensville. And by the way, a lot of those kids that were on that team 5 years ago, I've been calling their baseball games at the high school level, so it was really a blast from the past. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten some people have reached out and said, yeah, my son's now playing high school ball, and thanks for sharing this. It was a great memory, and yeah, truly, it was one of the most incredible comebacks I've ever called. Whether that be pro baseball or college baseball or high school baseball, whatever. What Columbus Northern was able to do. I mean, Nolensville was on cruise control in that game, and of course, they went on to win the Southeast Regional and go to the Little League World Series that year. And that was the only loss that they had on the way to getting to Williamsport was that loss to Columbus Northern. And they were in cruise control. There was no reason to believe that anything crazy was about to happen. But Columbus Northern rallied from a 5-0 deficit and scored 6 runs in the bottom of the 6th to walk it off and win the game.
All right, so I'm looking at the bracket. The first 2 days, actually the first 3 days, because we got 2 elimination games on Saturday, will all be on ESPN Plus. The winner's bracket, this is on Sunday, August the 9th. And in a perfect world, here in the Chattahoochee Valley, we're rooting for Alabama and Georgia.
Sure, of course.
This is where they could possibly meet, but they can also meet in the elimination bracket as well. Talk about when you get to Sunday. You're still in this thing, how much of an advantage it is to stay in the winner's bracket because the championship game is on Tuesday. Whoever comes out of the winner's bracket, they've got 2 chances to get to Williamsport.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it's like any other tournament that you would call, whether that be high school or college or whatever. Get in the winner's bracket and stay in that winner's bracket for as long as you can is going to increase your opportunity. Now, it is a modified, what they call a modified double elimination tournament, which is what a lot of tournaments now use these days in college as well, where it becomes a single elimination where whatever, it doesn't really matter. That happened to Florida last year. They were undefeated going into the championship game against an Irmo team that had already lost once. But because it's a modified bracket, it becomes a single elimination championship. So Irmo just had to win once instead of had it been a true double elimination. They would have had to beat Lake Mary twice to go to Williamsport. So that's where you get a little bit of the pushback, I think. I don't know that I'm a big fan. I know why they do the modified bracket. It's really because of television, because television wants to be able to say, this is a 1-game championship. We don't want to go and start the day saying we might end up having to play 3 games to decide this thing. So, So Honestly, I'm not a big fan of the modified double elimination as far as the tournament. I get why they do it. I call the Sun Belt Conference. They don't do that. They keep it. They do. Pardon my. They do the double elimination modified bracket so that they get to a single game championship regardless of what's happened prior to that day.
All right, Matt, let's switch gears. We're a couple of weeks away from the start of high school football now.
Yep.
The high school football starts with the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic. This year they're doing a little bit different. They're having the games at the bins on Wednesday and Thursday. South Gwinnett taking on Lanier, Grayson taking on North Gwinnett, Cambridge taking on Brookwood, Walton taking on Roswell. Usually it's at like the home sites like Kell High School, Blessed Trinity, Center Park Stadium. Those games are usually on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then the games are on Friday. So what was the reason that went into changing it up to where these games are going to be at the bin starting off?
Yeah, they had to do it that way because of the World Cup schedule this summer really impacted the Atlanta United schedule. So Atlanta United had those weekend dates reserved on when they typically would have been doing the Corky Kell. So that's why they were able to get a special permission, one-time special permission from the GHSA to kind of flip the tournament, to flip the Corky Kell, if you will, and do it that way with the Mercedes-Benz games being on Wednesday and Thursday a week earlier than everybody else. And then those games at Kell and Blessed Trinity and Center Park Stadium, which in the past has been Rome's Barron Stadium, but this year it's at Center Park Stadium where they've played it before. And those will be the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday games. So in the past, it would have been Wednesday, Thursday at home sites, and then on Friday, you would have had the Barron Stadium or Center Park Stadium. And then on Saturday, you would have had Mercedes-Benz. But they had to do it because of Atlanta United's schedule.
Yeah, we have some fantastic games coming up, including a game on ESPN, Gainesville taking on Buford, which Buford, a lot of national rankings have them number one in the entire nation. I think they are the best team coming out of 7A. Carrollton, I think it could be Buford-Carrollton once again for the 7A championship. Thomas County Central dominated Gainesville last year in the 5A championship. They're now 6A. Creekside, I think, is going to be dominant. You look at Sandy Creek over and going down and getting to Carver. And then we also have Worth County, who is now in the same region with Carver. What are you looking forward to about these defending champions entering this season? And is there any teams that you could think could possibly repeat?
Well, Buford, certainly I have them number one in 7A, followed by Carrollton and then Grayson, 1, 2, and 3 in my 7A preseason rankings. In 6A, I actually had, and I caused some waves when I did this, several of my rankings did not sit well with some folks. And when I get to yours, your folks probably won't be very happy about it either. But in 6A, I got Creekside number one, Thomas County Central number two, followed by Gainesville number 3. And this is all based on what teams have coming back, not what they did last year, but on what I believe they've got coming back. And in 5A, I got Cartersville number 1, followed by North Oconee. In 4A, I got Sandy Creek number 1, followed by Stevenson. In 3A, I've got Toombs County number 1, followed by Carver, Columbus, and then Worth County. So watch out. Toombs County, regardless of classification, pound per pound is one of those talented teams in the state. So watch out for Toombs County is what I'm saying.
Well, Matt, I do want to say
Heard County number 1 and 2A. So.
There you go. Yeah. And can Bowden win a 5th straight state title?
I'm not picking them to win a 5th straight state title. They lost a lot, including the player of the year in the state of Georgia, and Caden Prothrow, now a freshman at Georgia. Their head coach, Rich Finley, went to Rockmart, a step across. Rockmart's been a great program. They'll continue to be a great program. I think Bowden will continue to be a great program because they hired Jamie Abrams, who most recently had been the head coach at Cedartown, but I'm not picking them to win their classification this year.
Yeah, Matt, in preparation for this upcoming high school football season, man, I go on Rivals.com. I really want to see who are some of the top players in the entire state. Would you agree, Jaden Upshaw, a wide receiver from Lee County, how good is he, and what can we expect for Lee County this year?
Yeah, well, he's the highest rated wide receiver in the state of Georgia in the senior class. So, I mean, as far as the recruiting rankings are concerned, yes, he's had he had a great season last year. I think Lee County's in, I don't know, I can't remember exactly where I have them ranked. I might be as high as, I think I have them ranked as high as 4 in right behind. So that would be right behind Gainesville, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
All
But
right.
they're in the mix. They're in the mix. One of the
Yeah.
biggest games. One of the biggest games in 6A this year will be Thomas County Central playing at Lee County.
All right, Matt. One of the things I also enjoy is your play-by-play for the GPB game of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I know when you look at the schedule, and everybody at GPB trying to figure out what's going to be that game of the week. There's so many incredible matchups. Are you able to tease what could possibly be the game of the week? Or when you guys go through your production meetings, do you guys have a general idea of what could be the game of the week? Or do you go as the season progresses?
Yeah, when we've gone through the entire season and kind of mapped out what we think the game of the week might be in that particular week, but we haven't made any official announcements, and we typically don't do that until the week advance, so about 10 days. So the Monday or maybe even the Sunday or Saturday 2 weeks out is when we'll make that announcement. But at least right now I can tell you that looks like the game plan is North Gwinnett at Mill Creek will be our opener on September 11th.
That is awesome. I cannot wait, Matt. Thank you so much, really, for being a guest on the Sports Beat. Definitely would love to have you back.
Sure.
It's always great just chopping it up with you and talking sports. You definitely have the passion for it, and I just appreciate just your broadcasting career, and that's definitely where I want to be someday.
Well, great. Thank you very much, Richard. Anytime.
All right. That is GPB Sports anchor and ESPN analyst Matt Stewart. And it's been a great show. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Facebook page. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. We will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. You can catch new episodes on Facebook and YouTube every Monday and Wednesday night at 5 p.m. The Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge is a local podcast that covers sports in Columbus, Georgia.